Welcome, fans, to another special episode of Rangers Ed. This is the round 2 preview episode. Round 1 almost completely in the books for the Rangers. It's been in the books for about a week. This is Cousin Ed. I'm here with Little Ed, Coach Ed, and Mikey 150 has joined us before Boston-Toronto Game 7 coming up in about an hour, probably an hour and a half puck drop, knowing how these national games work. But, yeah, he's kind enough to join us, even though he's over there having a tough time before Game 7. Thanks for joining us, Mikey.
Thanks for having me, boys. Excited to be here.
So if you guys didn't see Little Ed, before we talk about the game, the series, Little Ed posted Coach Ed at the barbecue today. Coach Ed, for those of you that joined the tailgate, you know Coach Ed on the grill is a sight to behold. So that was a nice little touch there. I got a good laugh at that with the Bad Boy 63 license plate. How was the barbecue, though? Did you have fun?
Yeah, it was a good time. We haven't seen the boys in a while, so it was good to see them. They were in good spirits and stuff. Looking forward to next season. Gave out a few awards. Coach Ed gave out his favorite coach's award for the season, so that was exciting.
Who got the doghouse award?
I pulled a Rangers Ed special. I gave the defensive player award to one of our centers because he accepted a shutdown role this season. So shout out to Jonathan Faktorovich on our team. He's one of our assistant captains, and he
first ever Selke winner.
Yeah, definitely won the Selke for the Stony Brook AAUC Wolves this year. That's for sure.
Hey, you guys know as well as I do that there's no glory in being a shutdown player for the most part, and he took a third line center role and ran with it.
Yeah, he did a lot of he shut down a lot of good players in our conference and our league and everything, playoffs and beyond. So great job all around. So yeah, it's a good time.
Good time. Yeah, it sounds fun. Sorry I couldn't be there. Obviously, being in a different state, I'm excused, but sounds like you guys had a lot of fun. But let's talk Rangers, Carolina. This is the matchup everybody thought was inevitable in round 2 for about 6 months, and we finally are here. I want to start just talking about the odds makers and the national media. Okay, so you got the Rangers plus 130, Carolina minus 160 to win the series on the Hard Rock app. Daily Faceoff pick Carolina in 6. Sporting News, Carolina in 6. The Athletic gives Carolina a better chance of winning in 5 games than the Rangers have in winning in 7, which is just wild to me. I mean, that's absolutely wild. I don't even know. Gossip. I love it. Carolina Hurricanes suck. All right, well, we're going to try and be a little bit objective as much as we can here. So, Coach, I mean, I'm going to start with you because you're a big analytics guy. But before I turn it over to you, I just want to give a little bit of a theme here on the analytics and why it favors Carolina and why these models that study analytics say Carolina will win. So they favor Carolina because they control shot volume, right? Puck possession, forechecking. So when you control the puck and you control the pace of the play in the offensive zone, you're more likely to have a higher expected goals than your opponent, which is really the reason that Carolina is favored and it will be favored if they advance over a lot of teams. An interesting note I saw when looking at this, and maybe this can help you answer the question.
Paul, you shut your mouth. Don't mean to cut you off, but there's someone saying Toronto in the chat. Shut your mouth or get out.
Yeah, it's tough to root for Boston.
None of that shit.
So the Hurricanes against the Islanders, Coach, talk about expected goals, right, per 60 minutes. They generated 2.83 expected goals per 60, but only scored 1.96. The Rangers against Washington only generated about 2 expected goals per 60 and then outscored their expectations by a lot. So is that kind of a theme here on why analytics, why this is not really a fair assessment of the Rangers? They outscore their expected goals consistently, something like that. I don't know. I can't figure it out.
I feel like I'm at a coach's press conference. That question was like 4 minutes long. But anyway,
I want to get it going.
Look, the bottom line is it's going to be a prime example. Look, if Carolina wins in 5, everybody's going to go, the analytics were right. They didn't prove it, just like with the Rangers winning in 4 and and Carolina winning in 5, that's what the analytics are going to show also, pretty much, that they're going to win those series. But every favorite in a horse race doesn't win. That goes all by analytics. It's all about the variables that aren't in the analytics when it comes to playoff time, in my opinion. Does Boston, does Nashville line up good against Vancouver? Vancouver was in first place all season. Nashville almost pulled it out, gave them a really tough series. It's all about peaking at the right time to me, and coaches figuring out the other team. Brindamore is very good at it. It's going to be a battle. I'm not guaranteeing anybody the Rangers winning by no means, but it's going to be a seesaw battle, and it's going to come down to who has the will to get that puck more, and that's not in any analytics.
Yeah, little Ed, I mean, does it bother? It bothers me a little bit. The Rangers won the President's Trophy, and everyone's picking Carolina, and everything's favoring Carolina. It's kind of crazy. It's a little disrespectful to the Rangers, I think.
I mean, I was a little surprised to see them as the underdog, but I think after game 1, that'll change pretty quick. I think the odds for game 2 will be a lot different. In terms of winning the series, though, going in, that is a little strange. But I kind of like it. Going in as the underdog, I mean, it takes the pressure off of that much, I don't know. I wouldn't look too far into it. I mean, all year Vegas, you always look at Vegas's odds and stuff. They're all a little skewed sometimes. And right now, Carolina's D's a little banged up. I mean, I don't know. It is kind of strange that they put that together like that, for sure.
Yeah. Before we move on, Mikey, you're an objective observer here, and I don't want you to just say Rangers because this is a Rangers podcast. Are we being homers, or are we missing something? I feel like this is a pretty even series.
That's a tough one. I'm just looking at the lines here. It's a really strange matchup because the teams are pretty different, like in terms of how they play. Like Carolina for the last however many years has just been knock them down, drag them out, just big physical, pound you in the corners, wear you down type of team. Kind of like what the Islanders always wanted to be, but could never quite get there. And the Rangers are much more of a skilled team. Like they've much more finesse throughout their whole lineup. Just look at Fox on defense. That's a prime example. It's going to be difficult for the Rangers to deal with guys like Svechnikov. Trouba's not the fastest guy, and I think Svechnikov in particular is going to be particularly tough for the Rangers to deal with. But I mean, I do think it's a pretty even series. I don't understand why everyone's just flat out picking Carolina. But odds makers do their thing.
I think it's surprising.
Especially by that much of a margin. I think it should almost be I know I saw the stats on NHL that they're almost even in every category except for 5-on-5 play. And that's been the knock on the Rangers all year. But again, all year when I watched the Rangers, we're like, oh, how are they going to do in this 10-game stretch against all these? They seem to adapt to the other team. Like I'm watching these playoff games. I'm going, I don't know if the Rangers have this kind of pace to play it. I'm watching the Dallas series. I'm like, holy shit, these guys are up. It's incredible. But when they play these teams, they seem to just change a gear or something happens different, and they play hard at that level. So it's going to be interesting to see for sure.
I think the important thing is we've seen the Rangers play a lot of different ways over the course of the season and finding a lot of different ways to win. I mean, they did it again in Washington. They had to play a little bit more of a tougher game. They tried to drag them down a little bit into the mud, and they were able to battle through it, So, I mean, the Rangers were coming out of that series no problem either way, but they didn't even give Washington a game, barely even a chance to win a game, So I think it's important that, and we've seen them play at that pace against teams like that over the course of the season. They can skate with Colorado if they have to. I hope at least, like Vegas, Dallas, all those teams. It's going to be a battle no matter what, but I trust that, like you said, they're able to adapt mid-game. I mean, that's obviously a nod to the coaching, and you and I spoke about it at the barbecue earlier. It seems I kind of made a comment that the coaching staff is probably all on the same page similar to how you and me and Coach Skank are all on the same page for Stony Brook. So I think they're able to make those adjustments. That's the biggest thing, is like we've been talking about it all year, is Laviolette's coaching. And he's been able to study the Hurricanes for the last week over the course of the season. I mean, he's probably assumed that we're going to run into them in the playoffs at some point, so I think that's important.
Let's talk about the coaching since you're on it. Peter
Well,
Laviolette.
real quick, Zach Dante in the Instagram chat. Great to address this. Haven't understood why the Rangers were rated so lowly in playoff rankings, etc. And then shout out to Jeffrey Krentzman, the host of Mind Your Pucking Business. Coach is the real king of the barbecue grill.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
You ain't kidding, Jeff. So Laviolette.
I didn't have a sidekick though.
Yeah, exactly.
There was no one looking for a regular
Pepsi. No one hovering over the barbecue for heat.
Freezing.
Oh, the regular Pepsi. Yeah, let's not go there. So Laviolette and Brindamore, two of the best coaches in the league. Laviolette has shown a great ability to adapt. He just seems to know when to press certain buttons, like with Panarin, double shifting him, where to play him, when to bench guys, whatever. He seems to read his team pretty well. And Brindamore, who was Laviolette's captain when Laviolette won the Stanley Cup in 2006 with Carolina. So very interesting dynamic there. Brindamore learned from Laviolette, observed him, has a lot of respect for him. They have similar coaching styles. I think it's kind of a wash, honestly. I think whoever's home is going to have a slight edge, and it's going to be a well-coached series. I don't know how much of an impact the coaching is going to have, Coach. You're a coach. You tell me. I mean, they're both really good at adapting in game and have well-coached teams.
It's going to be like I had just said before. It's going to be that coach figuring out what players are in a zone and who wants the puck more, like it is in every playoff series. Watching these battles, game in and game out, the desperation, it's an intense game. And it's going to come down to what the coach feels, who's got it, like you just said, putting Panarin out at certain times in a matchup and so on. All that stuff comes to the coaching and the staff and watching film and getting ready for the next game. And that's what it's going to come down to, obviously. It's no secret.
Yeah. So I think they're, despite what you're talking about, all the analytics there pointing to them being fairly evenly matched, I think there are some pretty significant mismatches, in the lineup itself. Like, if you look at Carolina's third line there, that Drury, Martinook, well, first of all, Jack Drury he's been playing out of his mind. He was incredible against the Islanders. That's going to be a really tough matchup for that Rangers third line. And so, I mean, that's obviously just one example. And, what I was talking about with Shesterkin, sorry, good Lord, sorry. My mind is on the Bruins game right now. Svechnikov. There's just a lot of strange mismatches within the lineup that kind of, expanding on what you were going with there, the matchup game is going to be really important for these coaches. And I think particularly home ice and home games where matchups are at such a premium, those coaches really need to be on their game.
I mean, the Wenberg, Kakko, and Cooley line was arguably the Rangers' best line analytically, which goes to show you how much analytics actually mean in a short series, like a playoff series. We're not talking a sample of like 2 seasons. They scored 1 goal the whole series, and they rated as the Rangers' best line. So, I mean,
well, just playing both ends of the ice.
It's a small sample, but look, I'm looking at Carolina's lineup, and there isn't a single there's not a line there that scares me. Maybe the Gensel-Aho Svechnikov line, but they don't really scare me. It's
not Nathan McKinnon,
right?
It's not Nathan McKinnon out there.
Yeah, so I don't know. They're really good. All their players are really good, and they're deep for sure. They have a bunch of B+ B quality players, but I mean, other than Aho and Gensel's, I don't know. These guys aren't superstars to me. They're good players. They're really good quality players, but they're not Artemi Panarin. The Rangers got the best goalie in the series. They have the best defenseman in the series, and they have the best offensive player in the series. That should swing a little bit in the favor of the Rangers, and it's just not.
Well, let me just play devil's advocate and say expansion year Vegas.
Yeah. No, that's how
They
the
didn't have a
Hurricanes have to
single
win.
superstar on their team. I
but
kind
Mike-
of disagree
but
with
Mike-
a little bit of what you're
Yeah, but-
saying there. No, go ahead, Coach.
I get what you're saying, Mike, and I agree. Vegas was like that, but Vegas wasn't favored to win any time in that year.
Yeah, that's because they were an
That's it.
expansion team.
Well, that's what
Mike.
Eddie's argument. That's what Eddie's trying to say. They're not even close to even in the odds, and they have the points, and they have all these things. Vegas didn't have that year. They were a very good team, but they weren't favored to win series. It was more of a surprise. You know what I'm saying? That's
Yeah.
the odd part, that they're not.
Yeah.
No one's giving the Rangers a chance. I'm watching NHL all the time, and they're not freaking saying. They're hardly talking about the Rangers.
To me,
Yeah,
the difference
Rangers-
maker is the Islanders were, if you want to call it, they were in that series, and Freddie Anderson was playing really well. Don't get me wrong, but the Islanders don't have nearly the offensive firepower that the Rangers have.
Right.
No, they have
You
two
know, so
players that can
that's-
put the puck in the net. Like,
right, and then the other thing,
it was like
the
you
other
guys
major,
playing the Capitals. It was a warm-up series. Like,
Yeah.
right. Well, let's hope so. I mean, they definitely got to bring it in round 2 a lot more. But yeah, I mean, I think that's the major thing is like the offense is completely on another level than it is compared to the Islanders, and the Islanders did pretty well. I mean, yeah, they didn't get a lot of shot attempts, but the Rangers are able to, I say, break that defensive structure. We've seen them do it against Carolina plenty of times. And then speaking of defensive structure, is Pesci still out for this series, or did we hear any word on that?
He's out game 1 and 2, but we don't know beyond that.
See, that's a huge difference maker right there. If they got D'Angelo in the lineup chewing up any minutes, then they're in a lot of trouble, in my opinion, defensively.
D'Angelo with Brady Shea. So let's
That's
get Panarin out there.
they should
with those two.
expose. Yeah, they got to expose that pair. And before we move on or whatever, RJ Caraballo, Marchand's nose will get through wall tonight for Mikey. So
yeah, we'll touch on the Bruins Leafs in a minute, but so I agree with you. D'Angelo being in is the Rangers have to expose D'Angelo. They have to. I mean, look, he can handle the puck really well, and he's a little bit chippy, but he's not. He's out of position all the time. We know that very well watching him. It was always his criticism. We were always hoping he could develop it, and then next thing you know, he's gone. So whatever. But I mean, Mike, I really am trying so hard to be objective about this, but I look at the D. I look at the 6D of Carolina that are in this projected lineup and the 6D of the Rangers, and I take the Rangers. I take the Rangers D over those 6 Carolina D.
With the goalie. I don't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, now everybody's saying like Frederik Andersen was playing like a Vezina candidate. He's 13-2 down the stretch, and Frederik Andersen is not nearly as good as Igor Shesterkin. I mean, let's just say
let me just kind of play devil's advocate here. I'm not like saying, I'm just trying to be objective. First of all, when you say like when you compare 6 defensemen to 6 defensemen, that's great, but defensemen go in the corners with wings. So you can talk about them comparatively all you want, but you're more suited to talk about what Svechnikov is going to do to Adam Fox in a corner versus what Svechnikov's going to do, Fox is going to do to Jacob Slavin, because that's,
Fair.
And with respect to the goalies, like I just really don't like the goalie comparison, for the same thing. But I mean, I watched Tim Thomas in 2011. The dude was 39, and like it was the most unbelievable thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, it was incredible. So I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but you can't just discount it. And with the way that Anderson has played over the course of the last 3 seasons, I'd say there's a much more higher likelihood of it happening than you're giving it credit for. But
so let me rephrase. Yes, again, small sample. Hot goalie can take over a series. Anderson could be dominant in the series and win it for Carolina. I'm not saying that can't happen.
I'm saying last year to us.
Yeah, I'm saying going into the series, when you're saying who's better, like, I mean, what are we doing here? It's crazy to me. I mean, whatever. We don't have to keep harping on it, but I appreciate the objectivity.
Hold on. Well, real quick, before we move up the D, Paul Guducci, does Brent Burns still scare us?
Brent Burns is a beast.
On the power play, he should.
I mean, he always scares you, but he's not.
He's always a threat, but
yeah, he's not the young Brent Burns, but he's damn good.
Yeah,
he's a niche defenseman now.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he's nasty. He'll
Well,
cross
what needs
check
to be
guys,
what needs to be done with Brett Burns is what they did with Carlson and the rest of the Capitals D's. They got to get on them early behind their own net, forecheck, and grind them down. I mean,
Playoff
once you
hockey.
get past Brent Burns and Brady Shea and I guess D'Angelo, if they start get banged around, they're not going to be able to respond very well. And that's the same thing that happened when they had Dougie Hamilton. He got banged around a little bit on Carolina, and he wasn't able to respond at all. So the Rangers stick to their playoff style, which they did very well against the Capitals. And if Rempe, our boy Rempe rides at dawn behind me, starts shaking things up again with the forecheck, and Cousin Ed's rocking the shirt. Quick shout out, best comment tonight gets a free Rempe shirt. So if you place an order for one already, you can get a credit. But I don't know. There's a few good comments so far, but there's definitely plenty of time to get some better comments in the chat. So let's hear it. But yeah, so if Rempe starts throwing his body, if the third line, like we said before, continues to forecheck hard like they have been, Goudreau continues to forecheck. I mean, even Panarin laid out Oshie. If they play that physical playoff style game, it's going to be tough for Carolina to match it, I think. I don't care who they got.
Yeah, Ed, you keep teeing up my topics. I don't know if you're doing it on purpose, but you mentioned Matt Rempe.
I'm buzzing tonight, fellas.
We got to talk about Matt Rempe, and there's a lot of fans out there who are tired of hearing about Matt Rempe, non-Rangers fans, even Rangers fans, because he plays about 7 minutes a game. So it's kind of like all we talk about is Matt Rempe, and he plays 7 minutes a game. But
can I add something to that? It's 7 effective minutes.
Right. No, I agree with you. I'm not saying. I'm just kind of teeing up like some of the criticism of talking about Rempe. Yeah. So, coming into the series, there was a little bit of a question being discussed between media members. Will Rempe draw out in favor of Philip Hedl based on the speed of Carolina? The answer to that appears to be no. We're looking at the playoff lineup that in practice and Rempe's in and Hedl's out. Same lineup as the 4 games against Washington. So now, the question is he at risk of coming out if game 1 doesn't go well, right? So, Coach, like, how does Rempe need to play, and what would you be afraid of if you were Laviolette in playing Rempe? Especially with Carolina's power play being first or second in the league, putting him on the power play on an iffy call could be a big change in the game.
Yeah,
I don't think he's going to be out in those certain situations where it's getting close in the game. Like they didn't have him in the third period in game 3, I think, hardly at all. Again, that's going to come down to coaching. I'm sure they've been having meetings with him like they do every other player on a regular basis, watching film, teaching them, try to keep this down, hit like this. I'm sure they're going over that over and over. He seems to be a very coachable kid, the way he speaks in the locker room and whatnot. And I think that they're probably only going to be afraid, in my opinion, of his defensive responsibilities, of how he's going to handle in a mismatch situation against Carolina. If he gets stuck out there against Aho and the speed and that kind of situation, I think they're going to be fine with him otherwise.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, Little Ed, even Coach is saying at the end of a game, Rempe's out in the third period, he barely plays. That's another concern. I mean, first of all, you could take a penalty in the second period that could change a game, right? It could be a 2-1 game, penalty, Carolina scores, gives them momentum. So it doesn't have to necessarily be in the third period. But if you're benching this kid for the whole third period, you're playing a forward short. Then what if it goes to OT? Now what? We're not ready to play 11 forwards in OT?
Let me just add something to that. When he's not playing in the third period because of that, the other team isn't playing their third and fourth line so much either. You got to remember, if a team is chasing, they're going to be running their first, second, maybe third line a lot. Very rarely is that fourth line going to get out there if they're down a goal in a playoff game. So the matching also is part of that.
Makes sense. That's a good point. But it does concern me a little bit. I expect, and I hope not, but I expect a few of these games will get to overtime. And
what I was going to add was, I mean, I think Laviolette, I don't know if this is the right or wrong way to think, but like the Rangers have X amount of comeback wins this season, like ridiculous amount of comeback wins this season. So knock on wood, the Rempe penalties have been very early in the game. And I think that the positive outweigh the negative, where Laviolette thinks, A, we have a really good penalty kill. If that's going to match Carolina's power play, that's another question. But they have a really good penalty kill that chances are they're going to kill the penalty. And if they don't, they could probably battle back from a 1-goal deficit early in the game. But like you said, the second period penalty can definitely make a difference. But at the same time, I think Coach had already touched on this. It's like Laviolette's very good at picking his spots by putting him out there, I think. And even if he's out there, he's in like an offensive zone situation, or he'll forecheck once and he'll go immediately off the ice. So yeah, I think they acknowledge or they see his defensive responsibilities. I think it's more of his like skating ability that he like can't physically keep up yet. You know, I think he knows where to be on the ice, but like it's really his skating ability that's holding him back in the defensive zone, I think. But either way, I think they're able to pick his spots really well. What were you going to say after that? Sorry.
No. I think you guys make a good point. I mean, I'm a little bit concerned about fatigue in benching a kid in the third. He's probably not going to play in OT. I think that could wear down as OT goes on. But I mean, look, if the Rangers are going to win this series, they're going to win it on the backs of guys creating plays and scoring goals, right? So they're not going to win a war of attrition with Carolina over 7 games. Like Mikey said, like that's going to feed into Carolina's style. The Rangers have to score off the rush. They have to be creative. They have to get it on the power play and score, and that's how they'll win. So I guess it's not kind of talking myself out of my concern, but
well, one thing I will add about Rempe is he's also an effective lightning rod for that team. Like if they're at home and he goes on the ice and hits somebody, I don't care however hard it is, that Madison Square Garden just goes nuts.
He doesn't even have to hit anybody, Mike.
So,
as soon as his foot steps on the ice, the building shakes.
Totally.
Yeah.
And that's a huge adrenaline rush for your team with the home crowd. So
look, I said it that first day I was there when he was out. I said I couldn't believe it. I told you guys the electric in the stadium, and
well, that's what I was talking about with the positive outweighs the negative with like the chances of getting that penalty. I mean, you can't sit him out of the lineup and then you don't get that positive energy that we just talked about.
I mean, first of all, he's not the only one on the team getting penalties. It's not like he's getting 5 penalties a game or 3 penalties a game, other than that major, which he got punished for.
He's getting called for 2-minute minors. He's getting called. He got called for, I think, 2 or 3 against Washington. So.
In one game?
No, in the series.
Oh, in the series is different. I get it. Yeah.
He's also like a 4th-line player. I mean, a lot of players take penalties. I mean, it is what it is, but we don't have to.
No, I don't care about the penalties. I just worry about him getting called for an iffy penalty, not something where he does something like his penalties aren't like blatant penalties, in my opinion. They're just like hard hits and the refs like call a penalty, and
he's definitely under a microscope. He's under a microscope. They're trying to control the game before it gets out of hand. Like we definitely spoke about that in a previous episode. Like it's annoying for us as fans, but his hits aren't malicious. He's not going out trying to injure someone. It's just like he's just so tall. I mean, everyone's heard this a million times. He's just so tall, and the other players aren't. So like their heads just line up with his elbow. It's crazy. It's annoying.
But Mike, you would.
Well, no, Rangers fans just get used to it. It's a Chara penalty. I watched Zdeno Chara for however many freaking years. Like those penalties are going to come, and you just got to get used to it and just put another tally on your little chalkboard there, and just it's going to happen. But he does that to the same extent. He does have to learn how to control his elbows. Try and keep his shoulder down where he can, all that jazz. But you're right. A lot of the hits aren't malicious, but they're just.
But Mike, we were talking about this off the air. The hit that we were talking about where the guy got reamed his face into the boards, no call. Yeah. Rempe hits the guy marginally late, no injury or anything, and he gets a 2-minute penalty. It's like, what are we going to be consistent throughout the league? Are they getting? It's ridiculous. It gets out of hand.
I said it in the playoff preview. They're consistently inconsistent. What more could you ask for, Coach? That's consistency right there.
Yeah, I guess so. It is consistent.
I think you were teeing up before that it's going to come down to our big players stepping up. Zach Dante in the Instagram chat said, "Are we at all concerned about Laugh? Felt like a quiet series despite good assist numbers. Team looks its best when he's hot."
I mean, it's a good question. I'm not personally. I think that the Trocheck line is being keyed on. So, Washington's game plan was shut that line down, and they did a pretty good job on that line. I know Laugh had some assists, Panarin had a few points, Trocheck too, but they weren't the same dynamic line that they were throughout the season. So I would expect more of the same. I would expect Slavin to be out there every time that line is out there. It's going to be tough for them. They're going to have to fight for ice, and it's going to be hard to score. But look what happened. Mika Zibanejad had 7 points. That's how you have to beat teams. If they're going to key on Panarin's line, then that means
you can't key on every line.
Right, exactly. So I'm not so concerned about it. As long as he fights through it and he's working hard and making smart plays, dumping it in and chasing and throwing a hit. He had that big hit that led to a goal in Game 1 against Washington. That was a huge hit on I forgot who it was, defenseman for Washington, Van Riemsdyk maybe. And as long as he plays that way, I'm not concerned about him. Are you?
No, you have to watch. You have to watch the whole game, which most fans don't. They just want to see the goals and all the flashiness, but they're not watching what leads to the goals. And he's been playing pretty consistent. Yeah, would I like to see him have a couple of goals? Yeah, but he could also all of a sudden. This series might be more to his skating ability, where it might be a little bit more run and gun, even though Carolina hits a lot. But it's going to be more skating than the Washington series, I think, as far as up and down the ice. So it might be more in his pocket. We'll see.
So I want to talk a little bit about Carolina's defensive structure. They play a man-to-man system, which is a lot different than Washington. Do you think that favors the Rangers in the offensive zone if Carolina is playing man-to-man? That it's been successful for them, obviously. They're really good, keep suppressing shots, but guys like Kakko, Wenberg, Panarin, even Roslovic, these are guys that would excel, I think, in one-on-one matchups, controlling the puck and creating offense. I don't know.
It becomes more of like an overtime game where you have to just keep cycling, and you got to set those little picks. You got to create the space for the guy with the puck, and they have to make the right decisions with the puck when they're passing it. You more or less pass to an area. If you watch overtimes, a lot of the passes will be to an area where the guy has the edge on him, and that's where they get that edge, that break. So that's what it's more about, waiting it out, setting a pick, getting a guy open, hitting it, and, that's what's going to be the smarter plays are going to be like that.
It's like running an NBA offense. It's weird.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
You need a lot of movement off the puck when they play man because, there's constant pressure when you have the puck. So you need to get open for the puck carrier.
Yeah, I'm just laughing at Gaza, New York Rigatonis versus Carolina Candy Canes.
That might be the one right there, right?
Oh man.
Well, the problem with Gaza's T-shirt order is that right now USPS is trying to charge me like $50 to ship it to England. So we're working on that. Our UK and European fans we gotta try and figure something out.
It's 3 times the price of the shirt.
For real, it's crazy. It's not fair. So I'm gonna try and figure something out. I think if I go there, they'll give me a better price. Doing it on the computer, they might think it's like a bigger package than it is or something. Who the hell knows?
If you have a boat, I'll be like 300 miles out in the North Atlantic, straight towards England from Canada. So if you want to meet halfway in a couple weeks.
Yeah. When I come to the wedding, I'll bring a duffel bag filled with
Here comes Gaz. Mike's out there with all kinds of electronic equipment out in the North Atlantic. Here comes Gaz.
You got the duffel bag of Rempe shirts.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's funny. So the Hurricanes. This has been a funny thing to follow online. There's been a lot of back and forth on this. The Hurricanes have restricted sales of tickets on Ticketmaster to fans in residents of North Carolina, South Carolina, and the southern parts of Virginia, and they're going to use the credit card billing address to block sales to anyone else outside of that area. So a lot of Ranger fans started trolling the Hurricanes. Obviously, they were trying to buy tickets. And the Hurricanes fans came to the defense and posted a clip of the Rangers playoff sweepstakes, where they also use what's called geolocation to restrict the sweepstakes winner. But it was a sweepstakes, right? So these Hurricanes podcasts I see on Twitter, they're saying, "Oh, the Rangers do the same thing," but not really, because anyone can buy tickets to Madison Square Garden for the Rangers playoff game. So I mean, I want to be objective about this too, because I like trolling the Hurricanes for doing this. But I mean, do you really blame them, Little Ed? I mean, I don't necessarily know if I blame them for doing that, because what if they didn't?
Yeah, Scott Crower said we should all get PO boxes in Raleigh.
Yeah, exactly. Nice.
Well,
Well, Tampa did the same
Instagram.
thing. Tampa did the same thing when I went to the playoff game. I had to buy it off like StubHub or whatever. I couldn't buy it direct.
Well, I don't know if it's a coincidence or not. I mean, I'm trying to think who was the other. What was it? Pittsburgh they played. Did Pittsburgh do it? Do you remember 2 years ago? Pittsburgh do it?
I remember hearing this all the time.
It's got to be like where Ranger fans.
Market. Yeah.
Well, no, where they currently live. I feel like a lot of New Yorkers moved to Carolina. A lot of New Yorkers moved to Tampa.
Right.
So like they already have like current New Yorkers they have to worry about. They don't need to worry about the ones coming to their to their city also. You know.
Well, the Panthers will do the same thing whether they play Boston or Toronto. They're going to do the same thing. Because Toronto and Boston fans will literally go to Florida, take a vacation and watch the games, you know.
100%. 100%.
That's the reality. So I don't really blame them. And actually, I want to correct myself. I was able to buy tickets because I am in Florida, but it said it on there. You have to be a resident of Florida to buy the ticket. So it was. I don't blame them. Yeah, it is. It is legal.
Wow.
Yeah.
K Miska 92 said most gift cards can be registered to a zip code, and that's the workaround.
There you go.
That's some next level shit right there.
You also can just buy it on StubHub, you know. I mean, look, do you expect, you know, I want to ask a two-part question like Mikey's trivia questions, all right? 2 parts. First question. The Garden, how important is it the Rangers win game 1 and 2 at home? And then the second question is, do you expect the same kind of influx of Rangers fans into Carolina for games 3 and 4? Coach,
who are you asking? Yeah.
Well, it's always important that you win game 1 and 2, but when they beat Carolina 2 years ago, I think they beat them 3 times in Carolina. Wasn't every home team losing or something?
No, every home team won until game 7. Rangers won game 7 in Carolina.
I mean,
but it was 2 in Carolina, 2 for the Rangers, 1 for Carolina, and then 2 for the Rangers.
I knew it was something with the home games. It's important, but look, sooner or later, you're not going to win every home game, and you're going to have to win on the road, and that's just got to get in the mind of the players. It comes down to the only event.
Not when you win the President's Trophy.
That's right. All they have to do is win the home games, Coach.
I'm just saying it's not going to happen. You're not going to win every home game, is what I'm saying. So
it's very negative.
Sooner or later, you're going to have to
approach.
I'm going by analytics.
More fans from the UK.
I mean,
underscore.
As far as the fans, I agree with Eddie. I think it's people who are from New York originally who live in Carolina now, and they're going to games because they're hockey fans. There's not going to be 10,000 Ranger fans traveling to the Carolina game. Maybe 1,000, maybe something like that, but not like half the stadium.
I mean, I would.
Well, didn't that just happen in the NBA with, what was it, Philly and the Knicks or something? Didn't one of them travel down and just like take over the other stadium?
The Knicks did. Knicks fans.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they saw that and they're like, whoa, pump the brakes, New York. Sweating this a little too hard. All right.
Yeah, they were literally chanting MVP for a Knicks player in Philadelphia. It was pretty bad.
Yeah. So
I expect there to be a lot of Rangers fans in Carolina because, like Coach said, there's a lot of transplants there anyway who are going to still be able to buy tickets. Plus, you have the secondary market. It really doesn't – it's really a non-story because, like, okay, fine. All they're really doing is making more money for Carolina residents. I mean, those people are going to make way more money because they're going to have access to the tickets and they'll sell it on the secondary markets. New York fans who want to travel. So any fans that want to go that are outside of that area are going to find tickets. You're not going to be able to stop. But anyway, a little bit of a funny story and thought it was worth mentioning. All right, Mikey, I'm going to start
Yes.
with you. Who's the X factor for the Rangers in this series? Who's got to make the difference for the team here? I mean,
Mika Zibanejad, but with an asterisk, his 5v5 play has to be on point this series. He needs to put the puck in the net when there are 5 Carolina Hurricanes skaters on the ice. If he doesn't do that, they will not win.
That's been the story all year, and the criticism is
I know it has. I know it has. And if he does that, they have an edge. But I think if he doesn't do that, that first line is way outmatched and the Rangers will lose.
Oof. All right. Big words from Mikey. Coach.
It is. That Carolina's first line's good, and Mika needs to step up to the plate.
Mike, I got to agree with Mike on that because the 5-on-5 is going to be the critical stat, but I'm going to go with Kreider. I want to see Kreider play hard 5-on-5. I think if Kreider plays well 5-on-5, that opens a lot up for Mika, and that is going to transform into what Mike is saying. So that whole line to me is going to be the key. Like I said when we talked, if they key on Panarin, Mika's got to be good, and that line's got to step up, and they did in Washington, and it's got to continue. So I agree with Mike to a degree, but I think Kreider is the one that's going to run that show.
Yeah, I like that. Little Ed.
I'm going with Trocheck. I mean, I don't think we have anything to worry about with him, but I think this is important for him going up against his old team in a very key spot. I mean, his face-offs last series were phenomenal. I think he's going to keep that up. I think when the Hurricanes are keying in on Laffy and Panarin offensively, that's where Trocheck's going to continue to shine. Killing penalties, obviously, he's phenomenal at. Shorthanded opportunities. He's great on the power play in that bumper spot. He's all over the ice constantly in that Washington series. Like I said, it's not really a pick that I'm saying he needs to step it up. It's just he's going to be the guy that's going to be the difference maker in all aspects. He's going to be playing his ass off against the Hurricanes, his former team. Last year, it wasn't his best year. He admitted now he feels more comfortable. He's really going to make a statement this year in the playoffs and continue to do so.
Yeah, I like those picks, and not to just be different, but I really do think it's Artemi Panarin. He's our best player, and he's the best player on the Rangers. He's one of the top players in the league. And look, this is a results-based league, so I know points matter, and I always say points matter. But what makes him the X factor here is being dynamic out there to the point that Carolina has to match up against the Panarin Trocheck line and open up the ice for these other lines, like you guys are saying. So it's we're saying the same thing, but if Zibanejad's line gets the Shea D'Angelo matchup because Panarin's out there getting shut down by Slavin, but he's fighting for ice, he's making plays and finishing on the power play, whatever, then Panarin's doing his job. I don't care if he has 2 points in the series, as long as he's out there fighting for that ice, creating those matchups for Zibanejad's line. I think he'll
get his
job.
Opportunities,
and he looks like he's doing that. Yeah, I think he's going to have a big series. I really do.
He's going to capitalize, and he will. I mean,
he looks like he's on a mission, and to me,
he laid out Oshie. For Oshie to come out and say like it wasn't a dirty hit, I had my head down, that just shuts up all the haters, saying it should have been a suspension, blah blah blah. And I love Oshie for that. That's why he was annoying the shit out of me that whole series. But I love Oshie. It's really hard to hate a player like that. Team USA, and
you can never ever hate TJ Sochi.
What?
TJ Sochi will forever be a legend.
Yeah,
no,
sure.
I can't stand playing against him. But that's what makes him great, right? If it was nice to play against him, then he wouldn't be a great player. So it's a little bit of a
but for him to come out and just say it was a clean hit, whatever, that says a lot for his character, and it says a lot for Panarin's character that he was going not headhunting, but he's got that little extra edge on his game, and that's great for us fans to see. That's something we've been worrying about for 4 years now, 5 years. Yep. For him to step it up and show some physicality and toughness, especially for his size, it's great.
Did you see so you brought up Trocheck? Did you see the
wait, real quick? Does Panarin throw that hit without Rempe in the lineup?
That's a good question. Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, absolutely. You kidding me? He wears a letter. He's doing that whether or not Rempe's in the lineup.
Yeah, they still got Truba. They still got a ton of guys, but it definitely makes a difference.
Interesting. No, you brought up Trocheck, so I read an article that Laviolette was like picking Trocheck's brain about Carolina. So for the fans that don't remember, the Rangers played Carolina just 2 seasons ago in the second round, 1-7. Trocheck was on Carolina in that series. He had 3 goals in that series. The Rangers 1-7, and then he signed with the Rangers after the season, switching sides. And now here he is on the Rangers side. So as Laviolette's picking Trocheck's brain, a lot of those guys are still on Carolina, right? It's still a lot of the same players. Does that give the Rangers a little bit of an edge there? I mean, Carolina's got Shea and Foss and all those guys, but they were Rangers too long ago, I think, to really give an edge. This is a recent player who knows the system, knows Brindamore. I don't know.
I think the key
I don't think
is
it gives him an
Brindamore.
edge.
All those other Ranger players that the system's too far gone.
Yeah, I agree.
But the Canes don't really try and hide what they do. Like, they're not a team that, like, well, for example, with the Bruins, what's going on with the Bruins and the Leafs in this series? It's like the gamesmanship with the lineups and all that. You know, that's been a big thing in the series. And compare that to Carolina, there isn't really a whole lot of that with that team. Like, they are what they are. They don't try to hide what they are. They have their system. Everyone knows it. They know they play man in the zone. And I don't think that there's necessarily an edge in this case.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. I mean, Coach, I don't know if you walked away, but I don't know if you heard Laviolette picked Trocheck's brain. He played with a lot of these guys and was coached by Brindamore. I mean, what are your thoughts on Trocheck being able to give some insight maybe into their locker room, into something that can give Laviolette an edge?
He might give him a little bit here and there. Tendencies of Aho, say, certain things. Maybe help out with the goalie where thinking what moves he likes to do, or Svechnikov or whoever, anybody. He's going to definitely give tendencies. He's a big part of the locker room. He wasn't a quiet fourth line player that played there for a season or two. He's involved in every brain on the team. He knows tendencies and stuff. So it might help here and there. I don't think it's going to change the series, but it might help in a certain situation here or there.
That's a good point. I meant to bring this up earlier. What you said with faceoffs, Carolina is really, really good at the dot. All 4 of their centers. So that's going to be a huge part of this series. And so what Coach was saying with Trocheck, I do think that could actually be quite important, particularly at the faceoff dot.
Oh, I can't wait to hear Ray Ferraro talk about how good Carolina is for 4 hours on Sunday. Anyway, so it's going to be everything. It's going to be, there's such a dynamic.
I forgot, no more Sam and Joe.
No, it's Ray Ferraro now, guys. That's what we're getting. Anyway. All right, before we do our series predictions and bring this to a close, I want to give you guys anything I miss. I tried to cover what I thought was important, but any topics you want to bring up here? No, I covered it all.
I was just about to say I was going to give you a compliment for running the episode very smoothly, giving us enough time for the predictions right within the hour. So, Coach, get anything off your chest now.
Yeah, no interrupt, Coach. You got it.
As of now, I don't have anything.
All right, because we all want to go watch the Game 7 Boston-Toronto. So, Coach, we're going to start with you. So, what's your series prediction? Rangers in blank, because I know it's Rangers.
Wait, did anybody say they were going to sweep Washington in our predictions?
No. We all said no. I think we said 5.
We all said gentlemen sweep 5.
All right,
we gave Linger in a game.
I'm going to go with Rangers in 6.
Okay.
Why'd you ask about the sweep?
I'm just curious. We didn't go over the stats. I'm just
yeah.
We were all wrong technically. I'll go.
A good way,
I guess.
Yeah, little Ed.
I'm going to continue my positive attitude. I got a lot of positivity going into this series. I'm going with the gentleman's sweep, Rangers in 5.
Ooh.
I love that. I love that confidence, and I think it's possible. I think
everyone picked Carolina to win the Metro. Everyone picked Carolina to every year to win the Cup, to go to the Eastern Conference Final. It never happens. What?
Joseph Woll is out for Game 7. Ilya Samsonov is back in the crease for the Toronto Maple Mulch.
Wait, crazy. What? Why?
Yeah, Woll is hurt apparently. My buddy just texted me. He's headed to the liquor store now.
All right, let's not celebrate injuries, Mike. Come on, take it down a notch.
Hey, pump the brakes. All right, I'm reporting the news.
Is Austin Matthews in? That's all that matters.
I don't think so. I haven't checked the Leafs lineup yet, but I just got that text came through.
Where'd the guy get hurt?
I don't know, man. I haven't checked yet.
Wow.
I haven't heard anything about it. I've been on here since
He's got
lineups came out at
diarrhea.
9.
Nerves.
Matthews gave it to
We
him.
got Rangers over Hurricanes in 6. Instagram, Scott Krakauer, Rangers in 5, agreeing with Little Ed.
Listen, I'm kind of in the Rangers in 6 boat, but I think it's going to go 7 games. I think the Rangers win in 7. I just
Wait, you all for the last 3 or 4 weeks you've been saying I'm not worried about Carolina. You think
Yeah,
they're
but
gonna
it's
stick at 7?
I think it's going to be 7. I think Carolina's going to
That
fight
means
hard.
you got to be a little worried. You got to be a little worried.
Well, look, when I say I'm not worried, I'm saying I'm not one of these people that's like, oh, Carolina's so good. They're equally as good as the Rangers. They're right in the same, they were 3 points behind them during the season.
But
this is
given how highly you think of the Rangers, by that logic, shouldn't Carolina scare you?
Yeah, but they don't because of how good I think the Rangers are. It's not Carolina versus the Islanders. This is.
But
if I were
in
an
the
Islanders
same breath,
fan,
you
I'd
just
be
said
like,
that
we're
this
gonna
is a
get swept.
very. You just said it's a very even matchup, though.
I do think it's an even matchup.
I'm
Yeah, I
lawyering
think
the
it's
shit
gonna
out
go
of you
back
right
and
now,
forth.
by the way.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm a lawyer. I can, I'd be a good deponent. I think that the Rangers should win the series in 6 games. I agree with Coach, but I'm going to say Rangers in 7. That's how it usually goes, and it's a pretty even matchup. It's going to go back and forth. There's going to be a lot of momentum swings, and it's going to be a hell of a series. Mikey, are you going to pick Carolina?
Just for the sake of levity, I haven't even looked at the chat, but I'm sure there's 75 Rangers in ... predictions and 0 Carolina in. So I'm going to say Canes in 7.
You dick.
Yes, I mean,
Hey,
look,
I picked them in my bracket. I had them going to the Cup. I think they're a really damn good hocky team. So
then you
We'll
got to
see.
pick them.
yeah,
See.
but I also picked Winnipeg. So what do I know?
Yeah,
that's
quick
true.
radio
I also
edit
picked
there.
Winnipeg. I also picked
Yeah.
Winnipeg. But all right.
Well, there we go.
So Paul asked a question. This is for Coach Ed. Does having home ice in this series impact many of the predictions?
I don't understand that question. Does it impact many of the predictions?
I guess our predictions.
Well, if I'm saying Rangers in 6, that means they're going to win in Carolina.
that's what they did 2 years ago too, right?
Yeah, they won it in Game 7 in Carolina.
Game 7,
that means
yeah,
they're
yeah.
going to win it in Carolina. I mean, does it affect it? Playoffs, it means a lot in playoffs, but I don't know. It's a tough situation.
Well,
I
the way
think it matters for matchups.
mine was the
Okay.
same thing we said as for Washington. Is I think Carolina is going to steal one at home or grab one at home, and then the Rangers will close it out. So I guess home ice advantage would mean closing it out Game 5.
I would love
For me.
you to be right. I would love for you to be right, man. Just
I'm
sitting
telling you,
back.
Rangers are on a mission,
Oh, my
man.
God.
Everyone's underestimating them.
I would
I
love
Can you
agree
imagine
with
what would
Eddie.
happen to that Canes team if they lost to the Rangers in 5 games?
They'd
gonna
be
be
Well,
very
I
iffy.
was gonna bring this up before. Why would Brendan Moore's contract is up in the
Brendan
he
air
got
Moore is
now,
extended.
off
negotiating?
to work
He
to
got extended.
Seattle. If they go out and he did. Oh, okay.
Oh, so
I
they
didn't hear
just
that.
did
Yeah,
that
he
to
got-
shut everybody up. So Brendan Moore's agent probably released that or leaked that information.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there you
He
go.
got extended, but they have a lot of UFA at the end of the year, so this is kind of their last stand. They're going to be fighting hard. It's not going to be an easy series,
Yeah.
but we'll see. All right, let's wrap up. Talk a little outside the Rangers real quick for 2 or 3 minutes. We got Boston, Toronto, Game 7 tonight. I'm pumped for that. And then Vegas, Dallas, Game 7 tomorrow night after the Rangers start round 2 before Game 7, Vegas, Dallas. So that'll be hopefully we'll be celebrating a Ranger win and watching another Game 7. Coach, who you got tonight? Boston, Toronto.
First of all, does that even make sense, or is that another NHL? I don't even know what to call it. How does game
Whatever.
2 start before game 1 ends?
Well, they want Game 7 to be prime time. That's all.
I understand,
It's a
but whatever.
It's a TV thing.
What were you asking me now? Who do I got in Dallas? I like
No,
Vegas.
Boston, Toronto. Okay.
Look, I don't know if that kid Wall was playing. I'm going with Toronto. The way he played the last 2 games, I watched both games. The kid was in his zone. Other than that, I think it's a crapshoot. I'm going to go with I'm going to go with Boston eking it out in overtime.
I got
the goalie situation changes it a lot for me because go ahead.
No, I'm going Boston tonight. Pasternak shows up after getting called out by Montgomery. I'm going to say he gets angry and scores a couple, and Boston just wins tonight, especially if Matthews isn't in and Wall's out. That's a bad look for Toronto. And I got Dallas winning against Vegas. I think Dallas is a better team than Vegas, but that could go either way. That's a coin flip. Little Ed, who you got?
I was going Boston tonight either way. I think Maple Leafs are just going to fold under the pressure again, but especially now that their starting goalie, which they seem to be riding on the coattails of the last couple of games, is now out. I mean, that's crazy. That's just terrible, terrible luck for Maple Leafs fans. It's unbelievable, but you really just can't make it up. So definitely going Bruins tonight. I don't think it's going to even need overtime with the goalie situation. I agree. Pasternak's probably going to step up unless he's injured, for sure. He looks injured.
His coach wouldn't call him out if he was injured. I mean,
that's true. That's very true.
His coach is like, Pasternak got to do better. I mean, if the guy's nursing a serious injury, he's going to be like,
Yeah, that's fair. I didn't really think of it that way, but that's very true. So yeah, he's definitely going to step it up. And then I'm definitely going Dallas. I thought Dallas was going to close it out in 6. So I think the desperation with Vegas at home, I think they were able to pull it out, but then Dallas is going to close it out tomorrow night at home.
Yeah,
I'm going with Vegas. I didn't give you my prediction. I'm going with Vegas.
No, you said it 3 times. You did.
I
Mikey.
Well, I'm just going to let you guys have it on the Boston-Toronto series. I hope you're all right, and Dallas is taking that series. That game is probably going to be the best game of the entire NHL playoffs. It's going to be absolutely incredible.
I can't wait for that game. It's really like a conference final. You know, it's not like a first round.
No, it's going to be awesome. Very excited.
Paul's got Toronto, and Gaza's got Boston. So
you're still here, Paul?
Paul's got Toronto.
Just kidding, buddy.
But all right,
you had Toronto winning in your bracket, didn't you?
I don't
reverse psychology. Shut your mouth.
Yeah, I don't even remember who I picked, but I just your picks got to change as the series progresses. You just watch the teams. Like Colorado looks unstoppable right now. I mean, I did not see that happening going into the playoffs.
Did a complete 180 from the regular season. They did. Holy smokes.
Yeah, McKinnon just got everyone going. But all right. Good luck in the Bruins game tonight, and I can't wait to watch some Rangers hockey tomorrow. It's been like a freaking week already. I'm just dying over here. Hopefully the Rangers come out ready to play, and we can all enjoy. Everyone get your superstitions ready. The game's at 4:00. We got Ray Ferraro and his crew. Who's the guy? Sean McDonough and Emily Kaplan calling the game. So,
oh, my God.
Get the broadcast banter ready.
Thankfully, Coach Ed and I will be in the building, boots on the floor, or boots on the ground at the Garden tomorrow. So that's exciting stuff.
Oh, you got game 1? What other game did you get?
Game 1 and then game 5.
Ooh, when's game 5 going to be? Maybe I can get over to New York. Let's see.
Who says you're getting the tickets?
We talked about this. What do you mean?
We didn't talk about it with me.
Exactly.
I know where you talk. I know when you guys had the conversation.
Whatever. We'll talk later.
Shout out to everybody who joined tonight. We got a lot of viewers tonight, so shout out. And I also noticed that we hit the 150 subscribers on YouTube, so I got to get around to giving away the free Laffy card box for our Ranger Room promotion we did, our Ranger Room giveaway we did. So keep an eye out for that. What else we got?
Get the ping-pong
continuing. Yeah, get the ping-pong machine. We'll be continuing our live after or post-game shows after each game. So definitely tune in for that, everybody. And if you're heading to the game tomorrow, come find me and Coach Ed up in section 317 up on the bridge.
Yeah, we also got some good content coming. We got to just edit it a little bit. Coach Ed took a little trip and recorded some videos that look like they were recorded in 2001, but it's okay. We'll fix it up. He's over me. He's like, get me off this damn
Yeah.
I'm trying to cater to a certain niche.
demographic.
And shout out to
Blind people.
Trying to draw some older fans back.
blind people. Shout out to everyone who ordered a Rempe shirt, and thank you guys enough for supporting us and supporting our ideas. And
Except you, Paul.
Except for Paul, I think we hit almost 100 shirts. So
Wow.
we're definitely
Good
still
job.
accepting
Good
orders,
job.
but that'll be for round
All right,
4,
boys.
I guess.
Let's
Is it
go
time to
Rangers.
go?
Yeah, we hit an hour. We got the Bruins game going.
All right, let's do it.
Wrap it up. Almost
Love
perfect.
you guys.
Love
Let's
you
go
guys.
Rangers. Love you guys. Good luck, Mikey.
All right, boys.
Let's do
Godspeed.
it.
Go Bruins.
Let's go Bees.